On Paranormal Insights, we're going to take a look at fairies, elves, and leprechauns.
And we have a question from Eldika wanting to know if her current love is also the love of her future.
And a special interview with Jeffery Gonzales from the Sanger Paranormal Society. I'm Joseph Ernest Martin.
I'm Cindy Grayson.
And this is Paranormal Insights, where we bring you the latest and best from the metaphysical world.
Here we give you real tools and insights to your questions as we bring you answers from beyond the ordinary.
Cindy is a certified hypnotherapist with a specialty in past life regression. She also works with spirit guides and other white light entities as a medical intuitive.
Joseph is an award-winning psychic of over 25 years, and he's the author of the international bestseller, The Quest Tarot. Joseph is also the recipient of the Visionary Award of Excellence.
We are so glad to have Cindy Grayson back at Paranormal Insights. She took a little time off because she had some very special events happening in her life and in her family's life.
Yes, I am now the proud grandmother of a fifth granddaughter, little Harper Grace, and it is such a blessing to spend time with a newborn entity that's fresh from the other side and watch how they interact with the world. It's amazing.
And you know, the young ones are a little bit like elves, fairies, and leprechauns when they're young. I have had my own experiences where I have been looking at balls of light, things out of my peripheral vision, and I haven't seen like a winged fairy kind of thing, but I have seen some really kind of interesting anomalies absolutely visually from my own eyes.
I have too, and I see sparkles and I see the orbs around, but there was one morning about a year and a half ago that I actually woke up and I saw one on my hand. I felt it and it was like fly feet, but I didn't want to tip and make her fall off balance. It was amazing.
Now, some people actually claim to have really seen the wee folk. Now, part of what I have kind of deduced myself, and this kind of comes from Dr. Raymond Moody's work with young children who have had near-death experiences, is their expectations actually form the energy of what their expectations may actually be. So if you expect to see a fairy with actual wings, then you will actually see wings because the energy changes to match your idea of what that reality actually is.
That's true, and that's proven by quantum physicists. What you think, you create, and so they are working with us to help expose themselves to us. And if you, playing with my little granddaughter, if you watch, they see far more than we see. And you will see her, she'll look at my eyes, then she'll look at somebody or something up here, up here, up here, back to me. And it's fantastic because I know she sees.
Would you like to see a fairy yourself? Well, here's what you can do to stack the odds in your favor for seeing the wee magical folk. First, realize that their bodies are not like ours. They often appear somewhat transparent and can be very fleeting to our senses. They often have clothes made from nature, like leaves and flowers, so they will blend into an environment. Try not to look directly at them, as they often move so quickly that they appear to vanish on sight. Instead, look out of the corners of your eyes, or what you would consider your peripheral vision. Remember to relax and not be uptight. Your energy will be felt by the magical folk. Just sit quietly and relax. You don't have to say anything special. There really aren't any chance for this. Instead, if you are musically inclined, bring an instrument and play softly. Even a drum, lightly played, will soothe them. Fairies can be very tiny, so that when you see one, try not to make any sudden movements. Send out love energy from your heart with a feeling of oneness for you and the world. Remember that fairies are skittish. You'll have to build trust over time to be able to see them. And when you do, be thankful and gracious. After all, it's their world that we're living in. that energy that we don't normally see ourselves, but that we actually can see if we just really relax our mind a whole bunch. You know, one of the things that I actually will do if I want to see spirits or fairies or elves is I'll turn my head away from the place that I'm actually looking to let my peripheral vision get more of that information. Because, you know, the optic nerve right at the back of our eye is wired so directly into our brain that our brain will often edit what we actually see energetically to fit our worldview of reality. Now, leprechauns are kind of an interesting breed because some people say they will give you their pot of gold or they will grant you wishes. And that's a really big bonus when you're going to see these entities in real life.
Oh, sure. Who wouldn't want a pot of gold? And who really believes it?
Yes.
What you think you create. So important.
Not only is it important for these entities to have a way into our world and for us to accept them, but it actually is very enriching in our own lives. These entities really have a love of the earth and a love of the people on the earth, the planet, the grass, the trees, the streams. And when we treat the earth well, we're treating them well. Now, whether you believe that these entities, these energies, are actual beings themselves or an aspect of Mother Earth herself speaking to us in a way we can understand, we can agree just generally from all the myths and legends that most of these magical wee folk actually have our best interests at heart.
They do. And you'll find that if you go out and you garden and you beautify the outdoor area and you pick up the trash, you feel the energy change. You feel good. It lightens your vibration. And when your vibration is higher, you resonate with other realms around you that aren't normally seen by the naked eye.
And the things that you don't see with your naked eye are sometimes the most important things ever.
Would you like to actually learn how to see fairies? It's important to know that we see more energies when we're not looking directly at them. First, you need to be outdoors. In your mind, ask which flowering plant you should go to for help. Then listen to the first thought that is given to you. You might wonder if you just made that up, and please know that if it was your intent to ask, then you were given an answer. Please embrace that answer. Once you find the flowering plant, stand a few feet away from it. Allow your thoughts to focus on the entire plant, similar to a meditation. Take a few deep cleansing breaths. Let your focus relax. When we focus, each of our eyes look specifically at one item, which means that view of that focal point in the middle. When we allow our vision to soften and relax, our eyes look straight ahead, almost like double vision. When you're at this point, this is where you can see things, and it is so critical that you don't try. Just allow. When you try, you will get in your own way. In your mind, ask the fairies to reveal themselves to you. Enjoy the quietness of the meditation. The act of relaxing serves to actually raise our vibration. Raising our vibration is just like finding a radio station. And when you find the right frequency, you'll become aware of all sorts of things. When your vibration is higher, your energy becomes more aligned with the energy of the fairy realm. The fairies may reveal themselves as twinkles of white light, or they may be elongated light images. They may even reveal themselves as colorful little orbs just nestled comfortably within the plant. Some people see the fairies moving from flower to flower. Over time, some people say they hear a melodic sound coming from the fairies. It may take a few weeks of daily practice, but most people who allow and believe will experience the fairies. The most successful people are young children because they've not been taught to ignore what they know to be true.
When I first started seeing auras around people and seeing that energy field, it was kind of difficult because I had to wonder, am I losing my eyesight? Am I going crazy? And most people who want to see fairies and elves and leprechauns, they want to see them until they do see them. And then they actually question themselves, did I just go crazy all of a sudden? Or is what I saw actually real? Now, science has said a lot about like fairy rings or a natural formation of mushrooms in nature and all these other things. Yes, that's all true. But there's also this other realm of energy where these entities, these leprechauns, these fairies, these elves, actually have a way to exist and interact with us in the real world. And if we just take a moment to listen, I believe they will give us the messages we need.
Absolutely. And we talk ourselves out of what we actually see. How many people have seen images out of their peripheral vision and they rationalize it away? We do this in every aspect of our life. So if we can learn to accept what it is that we've seen and say thank you instead of questioning it, we're going to be so much farther off. And okay, I have to say something. There was a large blue orb behind you as you were talking about the fairies just a moment ago.
Well, there you go. They appear, the lights of the fairies. Now, it's probably hard for you to see at home with the studio lights as bright as they are. Cindy and I both have been practicing for years in meditation and being open and being open to seeing these kinds of things. And she's one of the sanest people I know. So, you know, if she says she sees something, she really does. When you want to see these things, these entities, these elves, these fairies, you actually can. It's not beyond what you can actually do. This is part of the human experience. It's part of our experience. And it's something that you can actually do yourself in your real life. And honestly, I think it makes your life richer and more happy.
And now we're very lucky to have Jeffery Gonzales from the Sanger Paranormal Society.
I'm here at the Mutual UFO Network here in Sacramento, California with Jeffery Gonzales. And I have to tell you, I just had the pleasure of listening to Jeffrey's lecture here with amazing visuals, pictures, and information from all over the state. Jeffrey's been doing this work for the last 10 years and has been a fan of the paranormal for a long time, but just recently has the opportunity to be making history, which we will be talking about. But there's one thing I wanted to start with. You've been finding amazing, possibly ancient structures in Fresno, California, of all places.
Right.
How did this come about?
We were experiencing a lot of UFO sightings north of Fresno. And one day we decided, you know what, on a Sunday, let's put on our hiking boots and let's go hiking for miles and miles. And we saw something that just wasn't normal and we couldn't get to it at that point. We went home, got on Google Earth, did down on it, and we saw these structures and we said, what the heck is this? And we decided one day to trespass and go to that area, and that's when we found these structures above ground and below ground. What really got our attention was the stuff that was still buried and underground. I contacted the archaeology department out of Sacramento, Historical Society of Fresno State. Nobody had any clue what these things were, but the people in Sacramento told me they looked like Inca Mayan type of structures. He said I should contact universities in Mexico, and that's when I knew we had something.
Well, Jeffrey's been showing pictures of what he's been finding, and these aren't like a foundation of a house. These are huge, megalithic structures built with artification on the faces, where large portions of these structures are still under tons and tons and tons of earth. How on earth are people going to be like trying to dig these up, or?
Well, they're in a location where they're surrounded by homes. Many people know of these structures, but because of the structures on top, it looked like they're from this century. And I think that the people who don't want people to know about these had made it seem to think that everything is of the century. So people will just ignore it and go away. But people don't use their common sense and really think about the stuff that's buried and how did it get buried. Tons and tons of dirt. It doesn't take 100, 200 years for that to happen. It takes a long time.
That's an important thing to really talk about, because it's not just something that's been above ground for 30 years and there's some grass or dust. These things, parts of these structures are literally underground. Thousands of tons of earth.
Right.
And you can see it go right in.
Right.
But there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, camouflaging being done right now?
There is. In the 1940s, they built a levee around that area. back then, I was born and raised there. There was nothing out there, dirt, just field, nothing. Why would the Army Corps of Engineers, and that's who built this, built it in the 1940s and spent back then probably hundreds and thousands of dollars to build like a wall around nothing. So I'm thinking that our military found something north of Fresno, have to hide it somehow, and did, but somehow these structures that are north of Fresno were actually uncovered by mistake, and they had to camouflage it somehow. So I personally think there's an underground facility north of Fresno. We have actually seen Army helicopters land out there, camouflaged Humvees. There's something going on over there. You know, even the archaeology department in Sacramento told me, man, those look like freaking Mexico stuff here, dude. He wanted to know where it was. I said, I'm not going to tell you.
Could you imagine if they found actual, well, I don't know, megalithic structures that were built in a way that was not common for that place or time? That would really shake up everything that's presumed about history.
And I think that in a very short time, I think it's going to all come out. I'm thinking probably within the next 3 or 4 months.
Now, you had said something interesting. You had said in your talk earlier, if you would like to see a UFO yourself, your best chances are certain days during the week.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Well, with all the sightings that I've been getting, and I've been documenting everything, for some reason Sundays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And I finally put 2 and 2 together, and I realized that those are the days that people are usually indoors. Sunday nights, you know, you have school the next morning, you have people going to work. You know, people aren't going to be outside and having a good time on Sunday, so they're indoors. Same goes for Wednesdays, which is hump day, and Thursdays, almost like Wednesday. It all makes sense. Now, do the aliens think that, you know, we're going to fly over Fresno because everybody's indoors? No, I'm thinking a lot of this stuff is probably top secret military craft.
Yeah.
And if they want to test it over populated areas, they want to do it where there's not that many people are outside looking up in the sky. Sundays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Now you're working with, and it's really your group too, the Sanger Paranormal Society.
Correct.
And you don't just do ancient structures or UFOs.
No.
You've been doing stuff with Bigfoot, ghosts, many other things. And you have some amazing stuff that could be shaking the world in about a week or 2.
Probably, hopefully a little longer. I mean, we're trying desperately to get this DNA, but to make a long story short, we had a camping trip last year in a location where we know these Bigfoot exist and are there. Something left impressions on my windows of my truck that was abandoned up there because of the snowstorm. We came back and now we find these impressions, not smudges, impressions on the windows. And I have had people with high authority tell me what these impressions look like to them. Well, one of them is facial features and happened to have left snot running down one of the windows. I mean, DNA. We have DNA. So right now we are working with a college and Oxford University in England so we can find out exactly what this thing is.
Now, have you had any of this tested so far?
No. Well, we had a smidgen part to see if it was contaminated by humans, and we found that it hasn't been contaminated, so therefore it isn't human, whatever this thing is.
So I just, you know, people are watching this is clear to you, but you had part of the samples already tested.
Right.
They did not test as human so far.
Right, not human.
So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, but it could still come back, because human to this day is what you and I are, it's human. Human back in, I don't know how long you want to go far back, but it could come back 99.1% human, but there's still a little bit of the strands that belong to whatever, you know, bipedal animal of some type, and that's what we're hoping, because DNA will be able to tell us, dude, this is not in our database, you got it, and if we get it, we discovered Bigfoot.
I gotta tell you, I am so excited about this, and you are going to be too. How can people find you on the web or easily get in contact with you?
I have a website, sangerparanormalsociety.com. On there is all the information you need. I have a 24-hour UFO hotline, though if you see something, you can call me 24 hours and I will answer it, get the information from you.
And what's that number?
That's area code 559-287-8367. The last 4 numbers spell out UFOS. And if you're not a fan on Facebook, I suggest you be a fan, because Everything that happens in Fresno, I documented on Facebook wall. Sightings come in from all over the place. If you really want to see what's going on there, you need to be a friend.
Absolutely. Make sure you do those things. You're going to see those at the bottom of this show and at the end credits, so you won't be able to miss it. Jeffrey, I have to tell you, your talk was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
The research you've done, the work you've done is absolutely amazing. I'm so impressed, and you got to find this guy because you're going to be impressed too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I was so happy to be able to have some time with Jeffery Gonzales because he is doing the most incredible work and research right now. The things he's doing, the things he's finding out is absolutely amazingly incredible, especially this megalithic structure outside of Fresno, California.
You had to be excited to hear this firsthand from him and what he is finding. This is cutting edge. This is great proof of existence.
Well, it just shows that there are so many more things that are happening even in places like Fresno than you can even imagine. You know, Jeffrey's going to be on national TV coming up within the next about 6-8 months. They're currently filming him, and the stuff he's going to be disclosing, honestly, is going to blow your mind.
And now we have a viewer question from Ildiko, who wants to know if her current love is also her future love.
And my question is about love. I would like to know if the person who I love now and loves me is going to be the person who loves me later on in life.
Love is one of the best questions you can ever ask. And wanting to know if love is going to be in your life and stay, well, you know, there's not any of us who haven't thought about that. I've asked my guides to come in. I've asked your guides to come in. Let's see what they want to tell you about the love you have in your life right now, and if that love is going to be with you in your future. When I look at the cards on this for your relationship, it does look bumpy. And I'm always going to tell you the truth. I'm always going to tell you exactly what my guides are telling me psychically to give you. And it wouldn't do you a service if I just said puppy dogs and rainbows. But what I do need to tell you is that this relationship to me looks kind of bumpy. It looks like it's going to go through many forms and gyrations. To me, it looks like you're going to be reinventing this relationship as you go along. Does that mean it's bad? No, it doesn't mean it's bad at all. It means that the journey you're on, where your love is concerned, where this person is concerned, is going to be very up and do very smart things to make that relationship smoother. You know, one of the best books on relationships I would recommend completely for you is John Gottman, The Relationship Cure. He's considered one of the best relationship experts on the planet today. He's absolutely wonderful. Now, with that said, I have to tell you that there looks like there is mystery, even misdirection. There isn't a lot of disclosure yet within this relationship for you. So I'm going to tell you, both of you need to be much more honest, much more connected with each other, much more communicative with each other. You need to really, really have this down in a way that's going to be not only helpful, but disclosive to each other in an honest way. I think both of you actually are not disclosing enough to each other yet where this relationship is concerned. To me, when I look at this, you really need much more interaction, honesty, and talking to each other for this to work in a very smooth way. Currently, I would tell you that there still is hope for this as long as you both are willing to work at the relationship. And I honestly mean put the relationship first in the number one position, above money, above career, above family. I would want both of you to decide that you, or your partner, are both in the number one position for each other, that you are the most important element in each other's life first, above everything else. If you can do that, that's going to smooth out the bumps as I see it for you. And it's going to create the kind of love interaction in this relationship that's going to be good for you. I want you to know, hands down, that I have hope for this relationship as long as both of you are willing to work at what this is and work at loving each other in a full, big, and beautiful way. I want you to know this isn't a bad set of cards, but this set of cards would tell you that The effort applied into this for you is going to bring the love you seek and the longevity in love you seek if you're willing to do the work. Good luck to both of you.
My guides are telling me that you already know that answer. You have doubt. You need to listen to your inner voice of why you have the doubt. You want to hear that your doubt is unfounded, but you know that it's accurate. However, you need to acknowledge the doubt and determine if it's a deal breaker or possibly a non-starter. This might be a desire to be in a deeper relationship rather than just a current love situation. It would do you well to be more energetically grounded. An easy way to do this is go outside. Put your bare feet in the dirt or the grass. Allow the earth's energy to renew your body and spirit. You spend way too much time on what if and contemplating changing who you are to make yourself appear more desirable and compatible. Stop. Be who you are. Any changes that you make should be for self-betterment, not to please someone else.
Questions about love are always so touchy because we feel them so deeply. They affect us so emotionally. They're such a huge component of our life. And actually, I felt a little bit nervous in even doing the reading because of all the bumps in the road that I kept seeing for this couple.
I know, and what I have found is when we are asked questions about future, and it has to do with love and relationships, when someone feels compelled to ask, they know, they can articulate what's not right in the relationship right now. They know there are issues and bumps going on currently, and they want to be assured that everything's going to be okay in the future and that they can ride them out.
Well, I do think that they can actually ride out this, this bumpiness. But it's going to take some knowledge, some intelligence, and some work. But that doesn't mean you can't have it. You know, my teachers always said, you can have anything you want if you're willing to do the work to make it happen, regardless of prediction, regardless of astrology or anything else. So if you're willing to do the work, it's willing to happen.
Yeah.
We want to answer your questions and address your topics. If you have questions you want answered, let us know. If you have topics you want us to look into, we're easy to find. You can find me at questtarot.com or email me at joseph@questtarot.com.
You can find me at cgraysonhypnosis.com or email me at cindy@cgraysonhypnosis.com. You can watch this program on Comcast Channel 17 in the Sacramento area. See more at accesssacramento.org and on Comcast Channels 23, 28, and 29 in the San Francisco Bay Area, as well as AT&T Uverse in the state of California, Saturday evenings at 7:30 and Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Also check out betv.org and more channel listings at attservices.net.
And be sure to watch our new weekly series, The Magic Minute, where you'll learn easy-to-use everyday magic to make your life better every Wednesday on YouTube and Vimeo, where it only takes a moment to make magic. And when you do, be sure to click like and subscribe. Please send us your questions and topics.
So we can share our paranormal insights
And answers from beyond the ordinary.